Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt, and I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. The website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. We're in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We're here for the EAA AirVenture, the Experimental Aircraft Association, the largest gathering of enthusiasts for aviation, camping, people flying in, probably more airplanes than we ever see anywhere. Today's show, we're going to look at some of the bombers that are here, but also the people from the Customs and the Border Patrol are here, and they're going to play a little bit of music right here at AirVenture, EAA AirVenture in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Don't forget my website, teamchicago.tv. It is the first day of the AirVenture, Oshkosh, Wisconsin, as we see the Sabre jet, that's a F-86, as we swing over to the F-84. 601,000 people will attend this event this week. 377 Warbirds showed up, and I had a great opportunity to talk to some of the people with some of these great aircraft. There was 12,300 campsites with over 40,000 people camping, and I'm happy to report that I am one of the 976 media representatives as I produce my TV show. We're going to do 3 episodes of Team Chicago Challenge from the EAA as I spot Devil Dog. Devil Dog is a U.S. Marine Corps PBJ, a converted B-25, but the U.S. Marine Corps calls them BBJs, and I had the opportunity to talk to one of the pilots of this great aircraft.
My name is Beth Jenkins. I'm the one of the pilots on the Devil Dog B-25, and this particular airplane is based after the number 3 ship of the VMB 612 group. And the guy that restored this airplane was a survivor of the VMB 612 group, and he decided on the number 3 ship. In their they did 23 missions, and in the 22 missions they downed 3 merchant ships, 1 imperial ship. So the artwork for that is up with the bombs represent missions. And they went on their 23rd mission, never to return. So in honor of them, Ozzie Parrish restored this airplane to the VMB 612 ship number 3. They didn't get to have nose art because they had night missions that they did. They'd go out at night and try to find the ships, keep the supplies from the Japanese on the Pacific Islands. So what they did was put the Marine mascot on there so we could keep this Marine history alive. Not too many people knew that the Marines had B-25s, but they designated them the PBJ-1Js. So their mission was to find the ships, down the ships, and they downed the ships by skip bombing, because the Marines learned early on you can't drop bombs on a moving target from 6,000 feet, so they learned to skip bomb. This airplane has the gunner nose on it. The VMB 612 would have had the radar nose on it because they were one of the first airplanes to have radar to find the ships and down the ships. We're here at Oshkosh today to keep this history alive. This airplane is part of the Commemorative Air Force. It's the Devil Dog Squadron, and we're here to keep this history alive, and we're just happy to be at Oshkosh.
Thank you, Beth. And right next to Devil Dog is Paper Doll. Paper Doll is a B-25J. This aircraft was delivered to the Army Air Corps on June 15th of 1945. So this aircraft did not see any battle in either theater during World War II. You could see this as a standard style B-25 with the glass nose. The bombardier who would have been in the front would have operated the 150 caliber machine gun. The other mounted 50 caliber machine gun would have been controlled by the pilot. This aircraft does not have a cannon. Some of the B-25s were built with a cannon in the nose. As we look in the bomb bay of this B-25, this aircraft is maintained by the Fagan Fighters World War II Museum, and it is flown under the name paper down. As we look into the field, we can spot aluminum overcast. This is a B-17 that is maintained by the EAA. It's a 4-engine heavy bomber, flying fortress. The engines are supercharged and turbocharged. The B-17 first flew in 1938, April of 1938, and over 12,000 B-17s were built. The EAA offers rides in this B-17, and now we're looking at a very rare aircraft. This is the Curtiss SB-2C Helldiver. This aircraft was used by the United States Navy. This aircraft did have some early problems when it was delivered in 1942. Over 7,000 of these SB-2C Helldivers were built, and it is the Commemorative Air Force in Dallas, Texas that maintains this rare airplane, the only flying SB-2C. And I had a chance to talk to the pilot, Ed Vesley.
Pilot flying the Curtiss Helldiver SB-2C Helldiver. The SB-2C was built to replace the Dauntless dive bomber. It has an R2600 engine, 1,900 horsepower. It carries internally 2,000 pounds, 500 pounds each wing. Has 2 forward-firing 20-millimeter cannons, and also can have 4 rockets each outer wing panel. So it's a very potent weapon against shipping and ground attack. We're out at Dallas, Texas with the Commemorative Air Force, and they built 7,140 of these aircraft. There are only 5 remaining in the world, and there's only 1 airworthy.
Thank you, Ed. Now looking at a C-47. This aircraft was based on the DC-3 commercial aircraft that first flew in December of 1935. The C-47 is the military conversion of the DC-3. Only 607 DC-3s were built. 16,000 C-47s were built and used by Allied forces during World War II. We're now looking at a C-47 that is maintained by the Yankee Air Museum. They're out of the Detroit area in Michigan. This aircraft is painted to look like aircraft used in the Burma front. I had a chance to talk to Howard Rundell, and he's going to tell us about this C-47.
My name's Howard Rundell, and we're here today at the Oshkosh 2018, standing in front of the Yankee Air Museum's C-47. The C-47 that we have was delivered to the Army Air Corps in April of 1945, and as such it was one of the last C-47s delivered to the Army Air Corps. Never left the continental United States, though it was built during the war. It served in the Air Corps and then the Air Force until 1962, primarily as a navigation trainer and then as a utility airplane. After the Air Force was done with it, the University of Michigan got the airplane, and they used it for several years as an airborne research platform. They were developing radars and things for the government. The Yankee Air Museum, based at Detroit's historic Willow Run Airport, got the airplane in the early 1980s, restored basically the interior to a troop configuration, and since then we've been flying the airplane at air shows just like this. Now, as far as the DC-3 goes, of course the DC-3 is one of the most significant aircraft ever designed in terms of its impact on a particular industry. When it came out, it was the first airplane that allowed the airlines to make money just hauling passengers. And it was such a great airplane that when the war threatened, the government bought thousands of them. And there were some reports like there was 11,000 C-47s, which was the Army Air Corps designation. The Navy called them R-4Ds, the D identifying the manufacturer, and of course DC-3 meant Douglas Commercial. And of those 11,000 aircraft that were built between 1935 and 1945, a good number of them are still flying, and you'll see some of them here at Oshkosh today. This airplane, the way you see it painted now, is just recently painted courtesy of Coletta Airways. It's painted up as part of the 319th Squadron, which was the first Air Commando Group. And basically what they did during the Second World War, they flew troops, British and Indian troops, to the backside of the Japanese lines in Burma and fought them from the backside. So this airplane, though it never served there, is painted up to honor those men who did serve there. So we're proud to be flying this airplane, and we're always happy to share its story with the public.
Thank you, Howard. As we look at this DC-3, I should point out that they only built 607 of these DC-3s after the war. They already had developed the DC-6, so that became their commercial aircraft. This DC-3 has got an executive interior. It has two Pratt Whitney 1830 engines, 14 cylinders. It can cruise at 175 miles per hour, and the cruising height is 2,500 feet. It's a great looking DC-3. Another great aircraft at the EAA AirVenture right here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. As we spot this C-47 taxiing, you will notice the three stripes. Those are D-Day stripes. Every aircraft, Allied aircraft that flew on D-Day were painted with three stripes on the wings and the fuselage. We are looking at three more multi-engine aircraft that could have been used for general aviation in the military during World War II or as a trainer. That third aircraft is a Canadian aircraft, and the name on it is Bucket of Bolts. Flying overhead in a vintage twin-engine aircraft, that is Matt Yoakum. He is the son of legendary air show pilot Bobby, and his grandfather designed autopilots. Matt began flying when he was 14, and he really shows the capability of this Beech 18 twin engine aircraft. Thank you, Matt, for the great demonstration. And now we're looking at either a A-26 or a B-26 with multiple 50 caliber machine guns. And Jim Reynolds is going to tell us all about this aircraft.
I'm Jim Reynolds, Greatest Generation Aircraft. What you're looking at today is a Douglas A-26A. It didn't start out that way. It was an A-26B. Became a B-26B during the Korean area, and later during the Vietnam War was modified into what was called a B-26K. When it went to Thailand, there was some objection to having bombers on Thai soil be based and fly over the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Laos. So they renamed it aptly the A-26A. That's the story of this designation. This airplane was highly modified from the stock airplane, like the one next to us. Bigger engines, 2,500 horsepower per side, bigger props. It shares the same prop as a DC-6, so that's how much bigger it is. And they modified the tail. The rudder is bigger, it's metallized. They modified the wings greatly with spar straps. Put 1,000 pounds on each of the new pylons. That's 12,000 pounds of ordnance on board, and 8 50 caliber machine guns. So they could do a lot of damage hunting trucks at night on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. That was its main purpose and last job. So the airplane served from 1944 to 1972. And so that's the story of the airplane. The people who flew it are with us. Call sign Nimrod, the 609th Special Operations Squadron, actually flew this airplane. And we have some of those members with us still today. 2 of them will fly in the air show tomorrow, recreating a crew that last flew together 48 years ago. So it's pretty special to everybody here. These guys mean the world to us. What they did, the Vietnam veteran didn't quite get the same homecoming that they should have as the other veterans have. And so we're here to correct that. We're welcoming the veterans home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. I will now have a better understanding what an A-26 is and what a B-26 is. And now we're looking at a B-17. This is Yankee Lady. This B-17 is maintained by the Yankee Air Museum. We're also looking at a C-47 named Casper, the Friendly Ghost, and this aircraft represents a gunship that was used in Vietnam. At the end of the line, I spot this very modern twin-engine aircraft. It is part of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. This is part of Homeland Security. I will interview the pilot in a moment, but before I interview this pilot and he explains more about this aircraft, lucky for me, we will be entertained by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Band. How lucky is my audience and I to be able to listen to some great American music right here at the EAA AirVenture in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Thank you, gentlemen. And now Doug Muse is going to tell us about this Customs and Border Protection aircraft.
My name is Doug Muse. I'm an air interdiction agent out of Southbridge, Michigan. I'm here today in front of the King Air 350, representing Air Marine Operations. And the aircraft itself is a King Air 350, like I said, and think of us as command and control in the sky. We do the air and marine interdiction mission, protecting Americans, and a number of different missions that we do. It's got a marine radar on the bottom as well as an MX-15 camera that comes out of the nose. We work with multiple different agencies to interdict many different illegal activities nationwide. This aircraft operates both on the East Coast and West Coast, as well as the Caribbean. We have 12 of those aircraft in our fleet at this time. I'm a dual-rated guy. I fly helicopters and fixed wing, and this is really a comfortable aircraft for surveillances and doing overhead missions. If you want to stay up for a long time, this is the aircraft to sit in. It's always nice to have a nice new aircraft, which this is. It's probably, I think, 3 years old, and it's relaxing. It's a fun mission. It's meaningful.
Thank you, Doug. And one more song from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Band.